Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan, and today's episode is going to be so good. I am in the middle of wedding planning. I'm engaged. I'm looking at wedding venues, all the things. And I'm realizing that any couple that finds themselves here, it could be really easy to just get caught up in all the details and logistics and the planning. And you might not take the time to actually think about the things that truly matter. And that's where the inspiration for this episode came from, because I want to give you 5 core things that you need to consider before getting married. And this will be helpful to you if you're single, if you're in a relationship, maybe you're already married even. No matter your relationship status, these are 5 things that I think anyone should consider before getting married or even as you're deepening an existing marriage. And these are going to be some maybe that you would think of and maybe some that are unexpected. But I think this is a really solid list. So I can't wait to share it with you. And before we get started, I just want to shout out anybody that's tuning in on YouTube. Hello. I just recently started putting the episodes more frequently on YouTube. So if you're watching, I love it. Hello. I'm trying to be better about looking at comments, responding to people. I really want to grow the YouTube because I think it's such a fun way to connect with you, having that video component where it feels like we're sitting across from each other. So I love it. So hello to all the YouTube subscribers. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube yet, I will put the link in the show notes. So make sure you go subscribe, say hello over there. I would love to connect with you. And then also, real quick, the Move to Secure Attachment 3-day challenge was amazing. I continue to get so many emails from you all letting me know how helpful it was, how much it's already helped you change some things. So I want to encourage you, if you weren't able to make it live, go grab the replay. I will put the replay link in the show notes as well. And what I want you to know is it's going away at the end of August. So you have a very limited time. Don't wait on this. This is 3 hours of live coaching from me, helping you rewire your brain so you can become securely attached and so you can release your past trauma. And this is very valuable experiential coaching. So you would be crazy not to grab this replay. And like I said, it's going away at the end of August. So go grab the replay. Link is in the show notes. All right, diving in. 5 things that you need to consider before getting married. I'm going to start us off with number 1 as how you navigate conflict. People, I think, in the early stages of a relationship, they don't think about this because you're in that honeymoon stage. Maybe there really isn't that much conflict. And you don't think about how, of course, in any relationship, there's going to be conflict. And I think about fighting versus conflict. Conflict is normal, right? When you think about 2 people who are close, there's always going to be friction, right? If I'm close with you, there's going to be friction. I'm actually very worried about couples who tell me that they haven't been in an argument in years. That tells me that they're no longer close. So we have to reframe our relationship to conflict, realizing that, oh, when there's conflict with my partner, that means that we're close. That means that we're being our authentic, true selves. And of course, there's some friction. And you want to think about, if I can navigate conflict in a healthy way with my partner, not that it's always going to be super comfortable or it's always rainbows and butterflies, because obviously there's still going to be some uncomfy things that come up, but that when I am working through something with my partner, I can feel emotionally safe. I can express what I'm feeling. I can tune into what my partner's feeling, and we can come out on the other side a better couple. I think too many people avoid conflict. When you avoid it, it leads to resentment, and then it leads to distance in the relationship. When people say, oh, we've grown apart, you'll see that a lot. They say, oh, we just grew apart. I think a lot of times below the surface, you have people that didn't talk about the things that were bothering them, and resentment built and distance built. And all of a sudden, you have these two people who no longer know each other because they were too afraid to address the conflict in their marriage. So I feel so strongly about this. And I even included how to navigate conflict as part of the Empowered Secure Love program. It's at the very end of the program. I give you my signature framework, dialogue, and it is a structure for navigating conflict, because I really believe that when emotions are high, when we're dealing with something difficult, we need to rely on structured communication. We need to have that shared language with a partner so that we're not getting caught up in unhealthy communication. We're not saying things that we regret later. We have this mutually agreed upon structure that can carry us through conflict. So I talk about that in my book. In case any of you, I don't know if you've already checked that out, but it's on Amazon and it's called Love Magnet. Get off the dating roller coaster and attract the love you deserve. I go into detail on dialogue in the book. And then obviously it's also inside of the Empowered Secure Love program. But navigating conflict, you have to think about that before getting married. And I would say that if you don't feel confident in how you're navigating conflict, then you need to get good at it before getting married if possible. All right, moving on. The second thing that I want to mention that you should think about before getting married is, you all know I'm going to say this, do you have a securely attached relationship? Do you have a relationship where both people can have a calm, regulated nervous system, where both people are able to show up as their securely attached, authentic selves, where you're adding value to each other's lives, where you don't have that constant fear of abandonment? Are they going to leave me? Am I good enough? All of the psychodrama that we can project onto our partners, right? You want to ask yourself, do we have a securely attached relationship? And if we don't, what does it look like for us to move towards a secure relationship? What are the things that need to change? And I want to go back to secure attachment is kind of this logical concept that we can understand in our brains, and we can go, oh yeah, I can express my needs. I can set boundaries. If I'm securely attached, I value the relationship, but then I also value the relationship with myself, right? And I'm not codependent and I'm not hyper independent. I'm interdependent. I depend on myself and I also depend on my partner. So we can have all of these definitions for secure attachment, but ultimately it's felt. Secure attachment is felt. It is a calm, regulated nervous system. Good signs of secure attachment in your body is when you feel your breathing is calm. And this is actually interesting. There was some research about, why we feel more tired around our significant others. And they're showing that, when you have a healthy, secure connection to your partner, it's signaling to your body that it's safe to rest. So some of you are going, oh, I'm so relaxed and I'm so tired around my partner. Well, that might be a sign of secure attachment. Your body can rest. So secure attachment, there's all these little logical things we can look for, behavior signs, etc. But I also just want to point out it's such a felt experience of, is your body calm? Is your nervous system regulated? Do you feel like you can be your most authentic self? Can you operate in your self-trust and you can express whatever you need to express? You just want to think about, am I securely attached in this relationship? And if not, is there a path to get there? And here's a really important piece, especially hopefully before getting married, you want to ask the question, is my partner willing to co-create secure attachment with me if we're not securely attached right now? Because you can't magically create it all by yourself. You need to have both people invested in co-creating a secure relationship. Okay, so that was point number 2. So far we have how you navigate conflict and is your relationship securely attached. Let's move on to point number 3. And this one is huge as well. Values, compatibility, and non-negotiables. Values are things such as family, faith, wellness, education, right? We all have things that we value, maybe travel, adventure, novelty, new experiences. And what's really important to realize is we all have priorities when it comes to our values. So you can have similar values with someone, but if you don't prioritize them in the same way, you could have a lot of conflict. So thinking about, okay, if I have one person, maybe family is their top value. That would be the case for me. Let's say I have one person where family is the top value and their partner, the top value is travel. Maybe it's travel and career are very high. There's going to be some potential conflict there. Now, I'm not saying that if you have different values that you can't make it work. But what I want you to think about is it's going to be a lot easier to build a long-term healthy relationship with someone if our values match up and at least hopefully the top 2 are pretty similar. So I want you to think about that. Obviously, we all share a lot of common values, but once again, it's about what's at the top for you. What's at the top? And being able to find someone where hopefully that's pretty similar. And then compatibility, this is things like attraction, doing similar, maybe you have similar hobbies, you have things that you like to do that are very similar. So compatibility is more about some of those surface level things that just make it feel like, oh, I match with this person. And I never want to give the impression that I think that we have to be just like our partners. I actually think that's very unhealthy, right? And that can lead to codependency. So it's great if you have some different interests, but it's also helpful if you have some things that overlap, right? And particularly if they're things that are really important to you. And once again, attraction is part of compatibility, that you find someone physically attractive. Another piece here for this point number 3, like I said, is non-negotiables. So all of us have certain things that are absolute non-negotiables. For you, it might be, if they're a smoker, I can't be with a smoker. Or maybe it's, if they're not Christian, I can't be with someone who's not a Christian. Or maybe your non-negotiable is they have to be able to travel with me because I travel a lot for work and I want someone who can travel with me. All of us have, I thought of another good one. Maybe you want someone who is sober and who doesn't drink, and that's a big part of your life. So we all have these non-negotiables, and we just have to be very honest about what those are and stick to them. So if you are saying, "Oh, I really like this person, but I used to have this thing that was non-negotiable for me, but now I'm just going to forget it." That's not a good sign. You want to be true to those things in your core that you go, "Oh, I just can't be in a relationship with someone that insert non-negotiable." Now, I will give this as a caveat. If you have a list of non-negotiables that is 10 to 15 things, and you end up having these crazy specific things that you want in a partner, that can be a sign of avoidant attachment style, of using things, high standards and specifics, using those things to protect yourself and push yourself away from closeness and intimacy. So I think that you have to know yourself here, and you have to do some work to make sure, okay, are my values, compatibility, my non-negotiables, are those things coming from my securely attached self, right? Am I showing up secure and those are the things that are coming up for me? Or is there some insecure attachment stuff that's coming up? If I'm anxiously attached, it might be that I don't have enough non-negotiables. I don't have enough of my values figured out. So when you're thinking about this list, you want to be thinking about it from a securely attached place. Okay, moving on. The fourth thing I would want you to think about before getting married is lifestyle. And this can go with compatibility as well and values, but lifestyle's really important. And I know this especially as someone who works from home, who travels a ton, who is a business owner. There's a lot of pieces about my lifestyle that are different from probably the traditional lifestyle. And I think being able to know what my lifestyle is and communicate what it is up front has really helped me in finding my person, because ultimately I'm not someone who wants to go out and party on the weekends. I no longer drink. I work a lot, and it's something that I really enjoy and I'm really aligned with. I don't necessarily have a set work hour schedule. I'm often working when I need to work, and that can be on weekends and can be after hours. So I think you just have to know yourself and know your lifestyle and communicate it to whoever it is that you're dating, and be aware of what their lifestyle is. And then obviously, you're never going to have perfect alignment. Like there's habits, especially I think the older that you get, right? So if you're in your 30s, if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, you're going to have things that are pretty rigid about your lifestyle because you've been alone and you've created these habits and ways of being, right? So you're never going to have 100% alignment with someone, but you want to be able to overlap enough and have some compromise so that living together, you can create some harmony, less friction. So, for example, let's say you have someone who is very career driven and they also travel a ton for work, and they have their life motto is work hard, play hard. And their idea of fun is going to Vegas for the weekend and going out to the EDM concerts, and I'll just say taking mushrooms. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay. And this person is type A, go getter. That's their lifestyle. And they like to constantly go out. And then let's say you have the other person who has the more grandmother aesthetic that I identify with. where you are going to bed by 9 p.m. and you love to read and you don't drink alcohol and you're really connected spiritually and you love yoga and you're not really into super loud places with concerts where you have thousands of people, right? What is going to happen when those two people are trying to build a life together? You're ultimately going to feel like there's friction. You're going to feel that it can feel really challenging, like one person's having to give up things that they want. So, very important to consider lifestyle. And I think another important piece here, I guess I'm going off on a tangent, but I just think it's important, is realizing that lifestyle is going to change over your lifespan. So, having children, a common thing that changes your lifestyle. And you want to be able to open up about those changes and talk about them as they're happening and continue to find ways where you can create harmony. So, for example, I love to get up super early and work out. Does my fiance love to do that? No, he doesn't. However, we find ways to still connect in the morning, to hopefully at least a couple times a week, we're still going on a morning walk together. So there's ways that we can meet each other where we're at. I would want to be in bed by 8:30. He would probably want to be in bed by 10:30. So a lot of times we meet in the middle around 9:30ish. So I think once again, open communication, trying to find ways that you're somewhat similar. In the long run, if your lifestyles are in conflict, you're going to have a really hard time building a lasting relationship. Okay. I went really in depth on that and I didn't expect to, but I hope that was helpful for you to think about. And once again, these are all things that you want to think about them and realize that of course you're not ever going to have perfect alignment in any of these areas, but is it close enough? Is it something that we can work on to meet each other where we are at? So that you have enough of a strong foundation for a long-term healthy relationship. Okay. So that was lifestyle. So far, we've talked about 4 things. Number 1 was, how do you navigate conflict? Are you securely attached? Then we talked about values, compatibility, and your non-negotiables, which you want to create from a secure place. And then we just talked about lifestyle. So what is the final thing I want you to consider before getting married? The final thing is your relationship to money. This isn't talked about enough. And I will tell you this, it is highly likely that you and your partner have different relationships with money because everyone has a different relationship with money. So you want to really get clear, what is your relationship with money? Because if I'm going to have a conversation with my partner about something, I need to take ownership of it first and really understand it for myself before I'm bringing it to the relationship, right? So you want to have clarity on, okay, am I a spender? Am I a saver? Do I have a good relationship with money? What are the things I need to work on? I want to kind of take ownership of, these are my strengths. These are the things I need to work on, right? And then I want to open the door to that conversation with my partner, because even if you have completely separate finances and you have completely separate bank accounts, your partner's relationship with money will impact you. And their relationship with money will have a way of impacting the decisions you make, where you live, what you're doing, the meals you're having for dinner. All of it's connected. And when you can understand each other and you can come up with mutually agreed upon approaches to money, you are going to save yourself so much pain and frustration. And I can tell you this, even if you have an incredible relationship and you have an incredible 2 to 3 to 5 years together, let me know how you're doing around year number 7. Year number 7, people call it the 7-year itch, but this is where the dust is settling. And a lot of times, some of that initial attraction feels like it's completely gone. And you can fall into that, oh my gosh, I feel like we're roommates category. And that's when those core things, such as your relationship with money, those are going to become much bigger points of conflict. And they're just going to become a lot more obvious and something that you're much more aware of. So you want to deal with this proactively, and you want to create emotional safety when it comes to money and talking about money. And the sooner you understand your partner's relationship with money and they understand yours, the sooner you can create emotional safety in those financial conversations. So I highly, highly, highly recommend having these conversations before getting married. And I will tell you this, remember how I said you want to know, are you securely attached? If you are not securely attached, and if you don't know how to navigate conflict, talking about your finances will feel like hell. Let's just be honest. It's going to be terrible. So highly recommend working on, okay, have we co-created secure attachment? Do we know how to navigate conflict? And then those financial conversations are going to be so much easier. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just to review, let's go over it. The 5 things I would want you to consider before getting married are, number 1, how do you navigate conflict? Number 2, are you securely attached? Do you have a regulated nervous system? Number 3, your values, compatibility, non-negotiables. And number 4, lifestyle. Spent a lot of time talking about that. And then number 5, your finances, and more specifically, your relationship to money and your partner's relationship to money, and opening the door to financial conversations as part of the relationship culture, right? That you're going to have ongoing, open, emotionally safe conversations about money and setting that standard early on. Okay. I hope this was a really helpful episode. And of course, if you're listening and going, oh my gosh, Dr. Morgan, I'm not securely attached. I need to become securely attached so that I can have a healthy relationship and have a healthy marriage. Then, of course, I want to invite you to apply to the Empowered.Secure.Loved program. We have really limited spots in August. There's just a few spots left. And this is an incredible month to join because you're getting some amazing bonuses when you join the program. So don't wait. Don't put off becoming this version of you, because once you become secure, then your dating life and your relationships, basically everything in your life, just gets a lot easier. And you deserve to attract that healthy, emotionally available partner that you can build a long-term relationship with. All right, y'all. One thing I want to add, because I didn't say this at the beginning, that I understand if you're going, oh, well, I never planned on getting married and I just want to have a long-term partnership. These same things apply. So whether you are anti-marriage, pro-marriage, if you're someone who wants long-term partnership with another human being, this list of 5 things is going to help you. I've run into more and more people who say, oh yeah, why would I get the government involved when I love someone? There's no need to get married. So I'm just throwing this out there just in case marriage is not your thing. This list is still going to be super helpful for you in a long-term relationship. All right, I'm sending you so much love, obviously. And of course, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.